Welcome to a night of terror. Tonight, we delve into three true scary stories that will make you think twice about being alone on a rainy night. These stories come from the dark corners of the internet, whispered accounts of people who have encountered the unexplainable. So, turn off the lights, grab your blankets and prepare yourself, because tonight, we venture into the shadows. Deep in the isolated woods of Washington state, nestled amongst towering pines and shrouded in an eerie silence, stood an old cabin. It had stood there for generations, a silent observer to the changing seasons and the secrets held within its aged wooden walls. Locals told tales of its haunting past, whispers of a family that met a gruesome end within those very walls. But for Emily and her friends, these were just stories, local legends meant to scare tourists. They were wrong.
We were eager for a weekend escape from the city, and the cabin's rustic charm drew us in. The promise of a secluded getaway was too tempting to resist.
As they unloaded their car that evening, a sense of unease settled over them. The woods were eerily silent, save for the rustling of leaves in the wind. The setting sun cast long, eerie shadows, and the air grew cold, sending shivers down their spines. Ignoring the unsettling feeling, they brought their bags inside. The cabin was dimly lit, the air thick with the smell of damp wood and something faintly unsettling, a metallic tang that they couldn't quite place.
As we explored the cabin, we noticed strange occurrences. Doors creaked open on their own. Cold spots sent chills across our skin, and faint whispers seemed to emanate from the empty rooms.
One night, as the storm raged outside, the friends gathered in the living room, attempting to distract themselves with card games and stories. The wind howled like a banshee, and the old cabin groaned under the onslaught of the storm. Suddenly, the sound of children laughing echoed through the cabin, high-pitched and chillingly out of place.
We froze, our blood turning to ice. The laughter seemed to be coming from the floor above, from a room we knew was empty.
Terror gripped their hearts, and they huddled together, their eyes darting around the room, searching for the source of the haunting laughter. Jake, the skeptic of the group, decided to investigate.
Armed with a flashlight, I slowly ascended the creaking stairs, each step filled with dread. The laughter grew louder, echoing through the empty hallway, seemingly coming from the room at the end of the hall.
Jake reached the door, his hand trembling as he reached for the knob. A cold blast of air hit him as he opened the door, and the laughter abruptly stopped. The room was empty, devoid of any sign of life, but on the far wall, scrawled in what looked like blood, was a message. "Get out."
Panic surged through me. I stumbled back, fleeing down the stairs, the image of the bloody message seared into my mind.
He recounted what he had seen to his friends, his voice trembling with terror. They decided to leave immediately, but as they tried to open the front door, they found it bolted shut. They were trapped. Hours passed, each tick of the clock amplifying their fear. The laughter returned, echoing around them, seeming to mock their terror. Finally, as dawn approached, the laughter ceased. They rushed to the door, and this time it swung open with ease. They fled the cabin, not daring to look back. The haunting at the old cabin remained a chilling memory, a reminder that some places hold dark secrets, and some stories are best left untold. Sarah had always felt safe in her apartment, a cozy haven in the bustling city, but one night that sense of security was shattered. It began with a feeling, a prickling sensation at the back of her neck, as if someone was watching her. She brushed it off as nerves, the stress of her demanding job getting to her, but the feeling persisted, growing stronger with each passing night.
One particularly dark night, as I lay in bed trying to ignore the unsettling feeling, I noticed something strange. A faint light flickered in the window across the street, as if someone had turned on a lamp.
She lived on the third floor, and the building opposite her was abandoned, its windows dark and empty. Curiosity piqued. Sarah got out of bed and moved closer to the window. The light flickered again, and this time she could have sworn she saw the silhouette of a figure standing in the window. It was tall and slender, its features obscured by the darkness. A chill ran down Sarah's spine, and her heart pounded in her chest.
Night after night I witnessed the same eerie occurrence. The figure would appear in the window, always at the same time, its presence both unsettling and strangely alluring.
She became obsessed. her life revolving around catching a glimpse of the mysterious figure. Sleep became elusive, replaced by an anxious anticipation of nightfall. One night, Sarah decided to investigate. Armed with her phone as a flashlight, she cautiously made her way across the street, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and morbid curiosity. The abandoned building loomed before her, its windows dark and menacing.
Taking a deep breath, I entered the building, my footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. The air was heavy with the smell of dust and decay, and a sense of unease settled over me.
She slowly made her way up the creaking stairs, each step amplifying her fear. As she reached the third floor, the same level as her apartment, she noticed a faint light emanating from the room at the end of the hallway. It was the same room where she had seen the figure. Her hand trembled as she reached for the doorknob, her mind racing with possibilities. The door creaked open, revealing a small, dusty room. The faint light Sarah had seen was gone, and the room was empty.
I scanned the room, my heart sinking with disappointment. Had I imagined the whole thing?
As she turned to leave, she noticed something strange. Scratched into the dusty floorboards was a message. "You shouldn't be here." Sarah froze, her blood turning to ice. She was not alone.
Panic surged through me, and I stumbled back, fleeing the abandoned building. As I ran, I could have sworn I heard footsteps behind me, slow and deliberate, as if the figure was following me.
Sarah never saw the figure in the window again. But the experience left an indelible mark on her psyche. She moved out of the apartment shortly after, unable to shake the feeling of being watched. To this day, she can't help but wonder who or what she saw in that window, and what it wanted with her. The old Victorian house stood on a hill overlooking the town, its once grand facade now weathered and worn. It had been in David's family for generations, a place filled with both cherished memories and unsettling stories whispered in hushed tones.
When I inherited the house after my grandmother's passing, I dismissed these stories as folklore, remnants of a bygone era. But I would soon discover that some secrets refused to stay buried.
From the moment David moved in, he felt a presence in the house, an unseen entity that seemed to observe his every move. It began subtly, with objects disappearing and reappearing in strange places, doors creaking open on their own, and the faint scent of lavender perfume lingering in the air, a fragrance his grandmother used to wear.
As days turned into nights, the occurrences grew increasingly unsettling. Footsteps echoed through the empty hallways at night. Disembodied whispers seemed to emanate from the walls, and I felt a constant oppressive feeling of being watched.
One night, as David lay in bed, trying to ignore the growing sense of unease, he heard a noise coming from the attic above. It was a soft scratching sound, like claws dragging across the wooden floorboards. David's heart pounded in his chest. He had always been told the attic was off-limits, filled with his grandmother's old belongings and best left undisturbed. Curiosity and a growing sense of dread warred within him.
Armed with a flashlight, I slowly ascended the attic stairs, each step filled with trepidation. The air grew colder as I reached the top of the stairs, and the musty smell of old wood and dust filled my nostrils. I fumbled for the light switch, but the bulb had burned out, plunging me into darkness.
Clicking on his flashlight, David cast the beam around the cluttered attic. Dust motes danced in the pale light, revealing stacks of old furniture, forgotten toys and boxes filled with yellowed photographs and faded letters. The scratching sound continued, seeming to come from the far end of the attic, where a large antique mirror stood covered with a dusty sheet. As David approached the mirror, a cold blast of air hit him, sending shivers down his spine. The scratching grew louder, more insistent.
I reached out and slowly removed the sheet, my heart pounding in my chest. The mirror reflected my own terrified face, but for a split second, I could have sworn I saw another figure standing behind me, a shadowy silhouette with glowing red eyes.
The flashlight slipped from his grasp, plunging him into darkness once more. Panic surged through him, and he stumbled back, tripping over a loose floorboard. As he lay there, his heart racing, he heard a voice, a whisper that seemed to come from within his own mind.
Leave this place. It hissed and never returned.
David scrambled to his feet and fled the attic, his mind reeling from what he had experienced. He ran from the house that night, leaving behind all his belongings, his family's legacy, and the unseen presence that haunted the attic. He never returned, forever haunted by the memory of the glowing red eyes in the mirror and the chilling whisper that echoed in his nightmares. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-chilling tales. Stay safe, and remember, sometimes the scariest things are the ones we can't see. Sleep tight, and don't let the nightmares bite.